Hello students. Today we're going to look at another way to use verbs. It's called the passive. So far in lessons 1 to 9, all the verbs we've looked at have been in the active form. That means we have a subject and then a verb. In the passive form, we change the verb a little bit and we use past participles as we did with the perfect tense. And if you remember, the past participle does not change. Now, we use the passive form for a number of reasons. Perhaps we don't know who did the action. Perhaps the subject, the person who did the action, is not important. Or perhaps it is obvious. For example, we do not need to say the police arrested the burglar. We can just say the burglar was arrested. That's the passive form. Because only the police can arrest somebody in this country. So we don't need to use the subject. Now, I hope you've done the starter. Look at it again now. They asked you to underline the past participles. So you should have underlined spoken, switched, and sold. Those are the main verbs and they do not change. You will see we have is spoken. So that's the verb to be in present simple. Must be, that's a modal. Must is a modal auxiliary, followed by the verb to be without to, the infinitive, the main part of the verb. And in the last one, are sold. Again, present simple of the verb to be. So you see, it is the verb to be that changes, and you add the past participle of the main verb, which doesn't change. So with the perfect tenses, it was have, and with the passive form, it is the verb to be which changes. So look at 1. It says, what is the mobile phone called in your country? What is it called in American English? Mobile phone is British English. In American English, they call it a cell phone. There are many words that are different between British English and American English, but from the movies, British people nearly always understand American English. Not always the other way around though. Even movie is an American word. We say film, or used to. Now, have you looked at exercise 2? I'll give you 2 minutes to read the introduction again and answer those 3 questions. I hope you had time to do all those. It doesn't matter if you didn't. Let's listen to the answers. Who made the first mobile phone call? The answer is Martin Cooper made the first mobile phone call. The second one, when and where did he make it? Answer, he made it in 1973 while walking along a street in New York. Number 3. How was the phone different from mobiles today? Look at the picture. It was the size of a brick. A brick is a hard block we often use to build houses. A brick is made of clay. Today we have huge concrete blocks that are bigger than bricks. Now we're going to do exercise 3. We're going to listen to a recording of the fact file, and you can follow it where it says fact file. Today mobile phones are owned by almost 6 billion people. And then I want you to look at those points 1 to 6 in exercise 3 and correct them where the information is wrong. I'll give you 5 minutes to do that after the recording. So let's listen now.
Unit 10. Tape script 10.1. A phone call that changed the world.
Fact file. Today, mobile phones are owned by almost 6 billion people worldwide. In the UK, 30 million are sold every year. The first text message was sent in 1989. Last year, 6.1 trillion texts were sent worldwide. Camera phones have been sold since 2002. Smartphones were introduced in 2007. The mobile phone had become a multimedia gadget. Over the years, a multitude of amazing features have been added, including internet browsing, email, MP3 players, video and camera. In 2008, Apple's iPhone had 500 applications, apps. Now there are over 500,000 apps. The most expensive mobile is the Gold Striker iPhone 4S Elite Gold. It is made of 24-karat gold and decorated with over 550 diamonds. It costs £6 million. 100 million mobile phones are thrown away every year. Some people believe that before long, all landline telephones will be replaced by mobile phones.
I hope you could follow that. Now, do exercise 3. You're going to correct the mistakes. and you can use the text under Fact File to help you. Now I'll give you the answers. The first one, 30 million phones are sold in the UK every year, not worldwide. So change worldwide to the UK. The second one, the first text message was sent in 1989. So, in the 1990s is wrong. You should have changed it to in 1989. The third one, smartphones were introduced in 2007. Camera phones have been sold since 2002. So, they say smartphones have been sold since 2002. It was camera phones. So you could either change smartphones to camera phones, or you could change the date from 2002 to 2007. Introduced in this case means the same as sold. Number 4. There are over 500,000 apps, that means applications, for Apple's iPhone. The exercise says Apple's iPhones now have over 1 million apps. So 500,000 is 500,000. Number 5 should be the most expensive phone costs £6 million. In the exercise it said it costs £6,000, so you need 3 more zeros on the end there. Number 6, we throw away 100 million phones a year. 100 million. In the exercise it says we throw away nearly 1 million. 1 million means 1 million. So that 1 million needs to be changed to 100 million. I hope you got all those. So let's look at the passive now. Look at grammar spot 1. Many of the verb forms in the text are in the passive. Those are the ones in bold. You can see they have given you 2 examples here. Mobile phones are owned by almost 6 billion people. The first mobile phone call was made in 1973. How do we make these passive forms? When we form the passive, we use the verb to be plus the past participle, which we used with the perfect tenses in the last lesson and lesson 7. In the perfect tenses, we changed have into the appropriate form. In the passive, we changed to be into the appropriate form. In both cases, the past participle never changes. So you have to think, do I need a present tense, a past tense, or even a perfect tense or a future tense, just as you do with the perfect tenses. Now look at grammar spot 2. Read the text again and then write the passive verb forms in the chart. So you need to make another chart because that one's a bit small. So look at the text again, look at the verbs in bold and work out whether the to be part is in the present tense, the past simple, the present perfect, or the future, and put them in the right space. They have done 2 examples for you. In the first fact file point, it says in the UK 30 million are sold. So are is present simple of to be. So they put that one in the first column. They have given you an example from the third point there. Camera phones have been sold since 2002. Have been is present perfect of the passive. So that goes into the third column. Let's see if you can do the rest. I'll give you 3 minutes to see if you can do it. So, did you get all those? So in the present simple box or column, under are sold, we have the first one is are owned in the first bullet point, then are sold, then is made, present simple, third person singular, is made, then is decorated, and are thrown. So those are all present simples. And then in the next box or column, we've got the past simple ones. So was made, was sent, were sent, were introduced. That's 4 you should have. Then in present perfect, you should have been sold, which was the example of course, and have been added. And one future one will be replaced. So you see, it's the different forms of the verb to be plus the past participle, which does not change. So now you have looked at exercise 4, where you had to put these active sentences, 1 to 8, into the passive forms that were used in the text. So we'll go through them together. Number 1, Martin Cooper made the first mobile phone call in 1973. So we've got the subject first and then the verb. In the passive form, it should be the first mobile phone call was made in 1973 by Martin Cooper. So number 2, the active form is almost 6 billion people worldwide own mobile phones. 6 billion people is the subject and own is the verb in the active. The passive form is mobile phones are owned by almost 6 billion people worldwide. Number 3, the active form is shops in the UK sell 30 million phones every year. In the passive, that becomes 30 million phones are sold in the UK every year. Number 4, the active is they have sold camera phones since 2002. Present perfect. The passive form is camera phones have been sold since 2002. Number 5, engineers have added a lot of amazing features. And the passive is a lot of amazing features have been added. Number 6, they decorate the Gold Striker phone with over 550 diamonds. That is the active form. The passive is the Gold Striker phone is decorated with over 550 diamonds. Number 7, we throw away 100 million mobile phones every year. Active. The passive is 100 million phones are thrown away every year. And 8, some people believe that mobile phones will eventually replace all landline phones. That's the active. And the passive is some people believe that eventually all landline telephones will be replaced by mobile phones. So look at the active sentences again. I want you to underline the subject in each sentence. Do those subjects appear in any of the passive sentences? I'll give you a minute to look at those. So the subject in the first one is Martin Cooper. I told you that already. And yes, it is in the passive form as well, but it's moved to the end of the sentence. And the object has moved to the beginning of the sentence. The subject in the second one is 6 billion people. That too has moved to the end of the sentence. The other ones, 3 the subject is shops. 4, they. 5, engineers. 6, they. 7, we. Those are all unimportant or obvious, and they are not used in the passive forms of the sentence at all. But in the last one, well, we have 2 subjects in the last one. Look at the first bit of that sentence. We have some people believe. People is the subject, believe is the active verb. But they haven't changed that. You could change it. You could say it is believed. It is the object. We don't need to say people. But the second part of the sentence, which is joined by the conjunction that, mobile phones is the subject of the second bit, will replace active verb all landline phones. That bit has changed around to landline phones will be replaced by mobile phones. So 1, 2 and 8 do mention the subject, but it is less important than the fact, and it's added at the end with by. Now I'd like you to do the homework, all things online. You have to guess which is the right answer. So in 1, is it 90 billion or 90 trillion emails that are sent? Then you have to look at the verb that they give you in brackets and put it in the correct form. Now you can use the notes that you have been given for the different tenses and different forms, and you can look in any grammar book for the past participles of irregular verbs if you're not sure whether they're regular or not. If they're regular, you just add ed, or if there's an e already, just d. But irregular ones change. I hope that's not too difficult for you, that you've been able to follow the passive forms, because they are very useful and they are used a lot in English. They are especially used in formal English. So good luck with that, and we'll meet again soon. Goodbye for now.